Good morning. We're going to wait for people to come in. Thank you for joining us today. Good morning. Okay, I think we'll get started. Hi, everyone. My name is Tamari Hedani. I am the Associate Director of the Elder Abuse Prevention Program at the Institute on Aging, and I'm proud to be here with you today to launch our Solidarity SF initiative. Today is World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, also known as WEAD. WEAD was established by the International Network for the Prevention of Elder Abuse and the World Health Organization at the United Nations, with the goal of promoting a better understanding of abuse and neglect of older persons and encouraging people around the world to build stronger and safer communities. So thank you all for being here today to talk about this very important issue and to hear about our new initiative, Solidarity SF. Solidarity SF was formed in March of this year in response to the increase of hate against Asian American Pacific Islander older adults during the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm sure you saw many of the egregious and violent incidences happening across the nation on news outlets and social media, and were just as alarmed as we were at the Elder Abuse Prevention Program. During this time, we were busy working with many of our partners within the city, like Adult Protective Services and first responders, to assist older victims of crime. As a fourth generation Asian American San Franciscan, I personally was heartbroken to see this happening in the city I grew up in the city that I love. And I was looking for a way to bring communities together to support each other and take a stand against hate. It was so great to see people organizing, advocating, and really centering the stories of survivors. So we wanted to galvanize that energy and encourage further action against targeted harassment and hate. Solidarity SF integrates and builds on efforts promoting pedestrian and community safety, bystander intervention tactics, and data collection, empowering the community to support San Franciscans experiencing harassment or feeling unsafe. So Solidarity SF is enlisting merchants, nonprofit agencies, and other community organizations to be part of a network that commits to provide shelter and support to anyone experiencing hate or harassment while walking in San Francisco. Once they sign up, participants agree to place the Solidarity SF sticker in their window, indicating that they are part of the Solidarity SF network. They will be provided with a toolkit that includes a list of local resources and nonprofits to make referrals to, as well as de-escalation and bystander intervention tools to best support anyone in need. Earlier this month, with the help of Bill Barnacle of the Outer Sunset Merchant Professional Association and the Sunset Safety Squad, organized by Supervisor Marr's office of District 4, we piloted Solidarity SF in one of the merchant corridors of Outer Sunset on Irving Street between 19th and 25th Avenue. We canvassed that stretch of businesses, spoke to many merchants along Irving, and were met with overwhelming enthusiasm for our project and got over 20 new members to sign on to the Solidarity SF network that day. Solidarity SF partners include the Institute on Aging, San Francisco's Human Services Agency, the Human Rights Commission, Victim Services Division of the San Francisco District Attorney's Office, San Francisco Police Department, the Office of Economic and Workforce Development, Self-Help for the Elderly, the Outer Sunset Merchant Professional Association, and others. And we are so lucky to hear from many of them today about the impactful work they do to serve San Franciscans and why they support Solidarity SF. To find out more information about Solidarity SF or sign up as a member, please visit our new website at ioaging.org/solidaritySF. And the link is in the chat. Thanks to Glenn. So before we hear more from our partners, some logistics, we will be taking questions after we run through all of the speakers. So please bear with us, and you can submit your written questions in the Q&A box on the bottom panel of this Zoom. So now let's get started. First, we'll be hearing from San Francisco's District Attorney, Chesa Boudin.
Well, thank you so much for the warm introduction and for bringing all of us together today. As you said, I'm San Francisco District Attorney Chesa Boudin, and it's really an honor to be here on this important day with such a great group of advocates and community leaders. I also want to thank you, Ms. Hedani, for bringing us together on World Elder Awareness Day, as well as every day. We have to stand united and in solidarity with our AAPI elders, as well as all elders in San Francisco. I know there's a lot of agencies that come together to collaborate on public safety and work in solidarity to protect our elder community members. And I want to just start by acknowledging and naming some of them again, because their work and their partnership is essential to protecting our most vulnerable community members. The Institute on Aging, the Human Services Agency, SF Human Rights Commission, the San Francisco Police Department, Asian Pacific Islander Legal Outreach, Outer Sunset Merchant and Professional Association, among others. So thank you all for your work and for being partners in the effort to make our community safe. You know, it's been an unusually difficult year in so many ways. As we've seen not just the effects of the pandemic that have devastated our communities all across the country, but also as we've seen violence and hate, particularly targeting elderly, vulnerable members of the community and AAPI community members. We have to recognize that there are some opportunistic, cynical elected officials who have stoked anti-Asian sentiment across the country. We saw it coming out of the White House over the past couple of years, and we saw it used in ways that racism and xenophobia has been used throughout history for cynical political purposes at a tremendous social cost to vulnerable members of our community. It's contributed to a wave of attacks that we've seen from coast to coast, including violence against many of our most vulnerable elderly community members. There is no room for hate. There is no room for violence or harassment in San Francisco. Our AAPI community, our elderly communities deserve respect, appreciation, and above all, they deserve safety. Now, we are committed to making sure that everyone in San Francisco, regardless of their age or their language or their country of origin, is safe and feels safe. My office, together with our Victim Services Division, is here to support any victims of violent crime. If you or a loved one are a victim of harassment or of violence, our victim service advocates will work with you to support you and to ensure that your needs are met, even if no arrest is ever made. To combat hate and violence against elder members of our community, we've taken a number of proactive steps, including working more closely than ever with the San Francisco Police Department as they gather evidence that we need to hold those who cause harm accountable. We recently, for example, led a training and created a field guide for Sfpd officers who investigate potential hate crimes, so they know what kinds of questions to ask, what kinds of evidence to gather, so that we can prosecute hate crimes when and where they've occurred. We also support community-based violence prevention, including bystander interventions. We did more than a dozen trainings in 2020 on hate crimes with different community-based organizations in multiple different languages. It's part of our broader work to educate community members about what to do if you see or experience a hate crime. And just a week or two ago, we released a public service announcement that we made in partnership with Sfpd Chief Bill Scott to ensure the public knows what to do about these crimes and how to recognize one when you see one. And of course, we continue to hold those accountable who cause harm in our community through acts of violence or criminal harassment or hate. Our Victim Services Division regularly meets with crime victims, helps connect them with services or therapy, helps secure reimbursement if there are medical expenses incurred. And I'm really proud to say that our victim services team speaks not only Cantonese and Mandarin, but actually 14 separate languages. We do our best, even in those languages we don't speak, through a network of interpreters and language lines. Our goal is to serve and meet the needs of every single victim in the language and with the cultural skills necessary to meet them where they're at. If you or someone you know has experienced a hate crime, please call our hate crime hotline. The number is 628-652-4311. It's available in Cantonese, Spanish, Arabic, and Tagalog, and of course, English as well. We're here for you, so please, please reach out.
Thank you.
I just want to end by, again, acknowledging the solidarity work that Solidarity SF enhances and brings together such an important coalition around public safety. I'm so appreciative of Solidarity SF for the critical work to empower communities, to end harassment, to expand our efforts to protect those that are vulnerable amongst us. We know that prevention is the most important thing. And when prevention fails, we have the tools to hold those who cause harm accountable. Through the Solidarity SF tool, merchants, pedestrians, and other agencies will be able to provide support and shelter for vulnerable victims who are in fear or who have been victims of crime. Whenever possible, we'll also provide the kind of critical support in documenting incidents, which will be essential for my team to successfully prosecute and hold those who perpetrated crimes accountable. I'm so honored to stand here with all of you together as part of this partnership, as part of building and rolling out a critical tool to prevent and protect, and where necessary, prosecute in cases of hate violence against our elder AAPI community. As Solidarity SF reminds us, we are all in this together. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we will hear from Supervisor Gordon Marr of District 4.
Thank you so much, Tamari. I'm extremely honored to join with such an amazing group of community and city leaders on World Elder Abuse Day to announce the launch of Solidarity SF, a community-led campaign to engage neighborhood merchants and community groups in providing safe haven for Asian seniors and others who may feel vulnerable on our streets. Today, as we fully reopen our economy and begin recovery from the immense challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic, Solidarity SF is an important example of our recovery from another great challenge of the past year, the surge in hate and violence against our Asian seniors and communities. Our Asian communities remain traumatized and fearful of this surge in violence and hate, and many have resorted to well, certainly staying home and being fearful of going out at a time, you know, when exercise and recreation was extremely important to navigate the pandemic. And many have also resorted to carrying pepper spray and other devices to protect themselves, including my own family. So this has been in another extreme crisis that we've been confronted with over the past year. Our city government has responded to the community's urgent call for action to ensure safety for our seniors, for Asian Americans, and really for everyone who feels vulnerable. We've expanded foot patrols and public safety outreach in neighborhoods with large Asian populations, including here in the Sunset District. And as chair of the board's Public Safety and Neighborhood Services Committee, I convened a hearing in April on crime and violence against Asian Americans. And since then, I've been working with the Human Rights Commission and city departments to create a comprehensive violence prevention and victim support plan for the Asian community. And as a member of the board's budget committee, I'm currently working with my colleagues to ensure that we prioritize and invest in effective and long-term public safety programs in the next city budget. While our city government has an important role and responsibility to ensure safety in our neighborhoods, violence and hate against our Asian seniors and others is a complex problem that can't be solved through government programs alone. Community-led efforts like Solidarity SF are extremely important, and I want to thank the Institute on Aging and other community partners for their incredible vision and organizing to create and launch this new program. And as Tamari mentioned, Solidarity SF was piloted right here in the Sunset District on the Irving corridor. And I really want to thank them for really focusing on starting it up in the Sunset District. You know, we are the district with the largest proportion of Asian American residents. Over 50% of District 4 in the Sunset District are Asian Americans. And we also have a very high proportion of elders in our neighborhood. And several weeks ago, I did have the opportunity to support early outreach about Solidarity SF to merchants on Irving Street, along with IOA and the Irving Street Merchants Association and the Sunset Safety Squad, a new volunteer public safety group my office helped to initiate. And the response on Irving Street, both from merchants and residents, was overwhelmingly positive to Solidarity SF. And I think this indicates just the great vision and organizing that went into creating this new important public safety campaign. So thanks again to Institute on Aging and all the partners for really taking the initiative and leadership to create this new safety program, and I look forward to supporting its rollout throughout all neighborhoods in our city. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for going with us when we canvassed the other week. That was really fun to have you on. Now we will hear from Jessica Campos from community engagement of the Office of Racial Equity at the San Francisco Human Rights Commission.
Thank you, Tamara. Thank you for having me in the space. With the COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated existing racial disparities. Our communities of color who have faced multiple pandemics. Now more than ever, we need to stand together to fight against racism and discrimination. With the disproportional numbers of Latin and American Indian cases of the contracting COVID-19, the increase of hate towards our Asian, American, and Pacific Islander communities, and the call for social justice for Black Lives Matter, there was a need for action. So Stand Together, SF, which is an initiative that was created with the San Francisco Human Rights Commission in partnership with community-based organizations to fight against racism and discrimination, was launched October 2020 with monthly town hall discussions that bridge racial communities and increase in solidarity. Last month, April 17th, we got together and did a kickoff at the Civic Center Plaza, which was a unity event that launched, again, our campaign for solidarity. It lended a space for people and community to stand united through assembling kits and distributing them throughout the community. Within these kits, it was a space for our community to have conversations, to meet a new neighbor, to be the model of what the solidarity kits stand for, to have conversations of what it is to, again, be in solidarity and what it means to be in unity of the community. The solidarities are intended to inspire, to inform, and nourish each other. It includes a book with different diasporas and a set of activities that intentionally created, again, the conversations and asked for learning of other cultures. We had community members and donate things such as passes to the Asian Art Museum. And with that were activities of when you go visit, go find pictures, really having engagement and wanting to go look and learn about different things. Again, we also had red envelopes, which were particular from our Asian Pacific Islander community. And we also had items such as beans, which were multicultural, which multicultures use, which were, again, to have those conversations that we have differences, but we also have a lot of similarities. We use our tool, again, we have a toolkit that we use: education, empower, and advocate. We are holding monthly workshops and planning sessions on how we can become solidarity ambassadors and elevate what community is already doing in solidarity and unity. In alignment with Solidarity SF, we want to create intersectional pathways for our communities to team up, to learn, to grow, and to strengthen from each other, and to have those hard conversations about race and our own biases, to really shift that narrative between the narrative of how we show up for ourselves and for each other in community. Our liberation is linked, and we are going to, if we're going to end racism and hate, we need to stand together. So we are very happy and grateful to be able to link with Institute of Aging and our community-based organizations and our leaders here to really put our hands at work and do this work. So thank you for this space.
Thank you. And we so appreciate the work you guys are doing and your partnership. So thank you for being here. So now we will hear from Francis Chan, the Senior Program Manager at the Office of Economic and Workforce Development.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So it's my pleasure to be a part of this. Let me start with a Chinese quote that's from Confucius. In Chinese, that's called 老者安之，朋友信之，少者懷之. That means in English is that for the aged ones, we provide them with comfort and rest. For the friends, we provide them with sincerity and trust. And for the young one, we provide them with tenderly and nurture. The reason for that one is the whole process that OEWD, our Office of Economic and Workforce Development, based on to support the community by, we consider what the community needs from the beginning. We develop a plan and we establish information and data. What we see throughout the situation from pandemic and until now is we know that we do not, or we have not provided some safe haven for some of the seniors. So they are scared. They do not want to go down to eat. They stay home. That actually lead to a set of mental health issues, right? They lost their communication. They can't meet with their friends. So we have been trying very hard, not only as OEWD, but also as a COVID Command Center. We join together to provide, for example, share space, right? That can allow them to meet with their friends outdoor. Luckily, and today, yeah, we are doing the reopening, and also at the same time, we educate them by providing them other support, including information flyers and also PPE that we have done in order to make sure they are safe, not only physically, but also mentally. And then for the other one is we, through our communication with different CBOs, also different departments, we provide the support. The support can be based on consideration, can be based on training, can also be based on education. All this we are trying to provide this. This is a cross-cultural approach, and also with the cross-cultural network and citywide network to provide that one. And on the other hand, through OEWD, we have established a database for 24 corridors in the city, in which 12 of them are more than 50% are AAPI focused population. So hopefully this network and this information system can help not only to launch this program, Consultatory SF in not only in Irving, but also in other city, other part of the city. So I'm trying to keep it short. You can tell that I'm really nervous about this. And so please feel free to let us know what we can provide, and also the network that we are going to reach out. I think the last thing we always want to bring up as an Asian American studies former students is the competency. It's not about language. It's really about how we work with people. This is just a simple part of the culture. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Francis. And you've been so passionate about this, especially as we are reopening. This is something that we can further involve merchants and businesses with the community. And also, I encourage people to check out the Coalition for Community Safety and Justice that OEWD is starting and implementing. Lastly, we are going to hear from Executive Director Kelly Dearman of the San Francisco Department of Disability and Aging Services.
Thank you, Tamari. Thank you all for attending today's announcement. Many thanks to District Attorney Boudin, Supervisor Marr, Jessica Campos from the Human Rights Commission, and Francis Chan from OEWD for taking the time to be here today. In normal years, World Elder Abuse Awareness Day is an important topic. However, this year, with the horrific rise in anti-Asian hate crimes and harassment, this has become a critical issue. We need to ensure that our community has all the tools our city needs to report and help stop crimes as they are happening, as well as to offer safe spaces and support to victims of hate. As we know, these crimes all too often target older adults. In recognition of World Elder Abuse Awareness Day and the disproportionate impact these recent spate of hate crimes and incidents of harassment have had on AAPI elders, we are proud that a coalition of community organizations, city agencies, and small businesses have come together to offer safe spaces within businesses and community facilities to those being harassed. We encourage San Francisco businesses to sign up for the free program by visiting ioaging.org/solidaritySF. We must do everything we can to help stem the tide of hate and harassment of our AAPI community members. And today, on World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, it is more important than ever that we lift up the older adults who have been victims of these crimes. With the rise in anti-AAPI hate and violence this past year, we must recommit to standing in solidarity with everyone in our community. The Department of Disability and Aging Services is committed to serving San Francisco's in need, and we have responded to this recent surge in crimes against older adults by producing outreach materials with safety and crime prevention tips for older people that have been produced in multiple languages. We also provided additional funding to expand self-help for the elderly senior escort service, a critical program that supports older people to safely leave the house for appointments and shopping. On World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, I think it is also important to recognize the vital role that adult protective services, social workers play in responding and investigating to reports of abuse, neglect, exploitation, and self-neglect involving adults with disabilities. In 2020, our APS program investigated 1,817 allegations of abuse, neglect, or exploitation involving older people and adults with disabilities from AAPI communities. Anyone can make a confidential or anonymous report to APS if they suspect abuse or neglect of an older adult or a person with a disability. And our 24-hour hotline is staffed by social workers who determine the appropriate response, which may include conducting an emergency home visit. To report neglect or abuse, call 415-355-6700. Please, if you see something, say something. We are also here for the community in a multitude of other ways. We coordinate services for not only older adults, but for veterans, people with disabilities, and their families to maximize safety, health, and independence. Our DOS Benefits Hub is a one-stop shop for questions about benefits and programs. Again, you can call that same number, 415-355-6700. Once again, thank you to all our partners, merchants, and senior centers who are helping to demonstrate San Francisco's solidarity. I'll pass it back to you, Tamari. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So as we're wrapping up, just a reminder, we'll be taking questions. So again, submit your questions in the Q&A box at the bottom panel of the Zoom. And we will have about 10-15 minutes for it. But a big warm thank you to all of our partners for joining us today to launch Solidarity SF. And thank you to all of you for being here to help spread the word about this important initiative. You can go to the website and you will find some graphics there to share on social media to let people know what the new symbol means and how to recruit more members into the network. You can go and find out more information at ioaging.org/solidaritySF, and the links are in the chat. So Shauna and Glenn, if you have any questions or you guys have any questions, you can read them now.
Operators are standing by. We just got one question. This is from Neil Granger. Have you seen an increase in financial crimes against the AAPI community, specifically seniors?
Let me briefly address this, if I may, Shauna. We know that there's a long history in San Francisco of crimes like blessing scams that specifically target AAPI seniors. It's not a problem that's unique to San Francisco or to the AAPI community, but there are many culturally specific kinds of crimes like the blessing scams that have been a big issue in San Francisco for years. I'm really proud of the work that the district attorney's office has done, even before I took office, to raise awareness about this issue, to help support victims, to fight for restitution, and to hold those who commit these crimes accountable. We have actually seen a significant decrease in blessing scams over the last couple of years, but it's something we have to continue to be vigilant about. We need to remember that many of our elders, whether it's our own parents, our uncles, our aunts, are extremely vulnerable, particularly when they're lonely. And one of the things that I love about self-help for the elderly, and something that Annie always reminds us to do, is to simply reach out and call those folks in our communities who we love and who we care about, to make sure they're not lonely, to make sure that they know we're here to support them. That connection, that human interaction, is one of the first most basic critical steps we can take to protect those who are vulnerable from being exploited financially. My investigators, my prosecutors remain vigilant and ready to prosecute any case involving financial or other exploitation of our seniors.
Thank you. And I know that your office has partnered with the Sfpd to do outreach on that, where they've done a lot of education and outreach within the community, have materials to spread awareness about this scam and how it works. And I know that you Sfpd also has investigators that are very familiar with these cases that have done a lot of work to investigate and to prosecute in partnership with your team.
Exactly right. And we do have a Cantonese speaking investigator who is a sworn peace officer and who helps to investigate and follow up once Sfpd brings us a case, so that we can follow through all the way to completion in our prosecution.
Thank you.
Can I add something, Tamari?
Yes, please.
Sure. So in the DOS world, emotional abuse and financial abuse were most commonly reported abuse types to APS. And in fact, financial abuse allegations went down last year.
Oh, wow.
So I guess that's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A trend we should keep an eye on, but that's good. That's a good trend. Great. Are there any other questions, Sean?
So Tamari, if I could just add also
Sure.
to this important question around, the blessing scams and the victimization of Asian community members, particularly elders, has been a challenging problem for many years. And given that it often happens or surges during the Lunar New Year celebrations, there's been efforts to do outreach, particularly around Lunar New Year. So I think this year, in the midst of COVID and in the midst of the surge in anti-Asian violence, the outreach that happened around Lunar New Year to educate the community to prevent financial crimes against them was really especially important. And I know I participated in outreach on Terabell with Sfpd and POPs, the people of the Parkside and Sunset Merchant Association, along with Supervisor Melgar. And then on Irving Street, we also did outreach to the merchants and residents, along with the Outer Sunset Merchants and Professional Association, Terabell Station, and also I would say that wanted to add the Sfpd's Community Liaison Unit, which was created by Sfpd specifically to as part of their community policing and community relations strategy. So I did want to add that, and I think they were especially this type of outreach that we did here in the Sunset on Terabell and Irving. And I know it happened in many of the other neighborhoods in the city, were especially important this year.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the work you do. Shauna, are there any other?
Yes. Next question. Can you tell me more about your marketing strategies to ensure that our community members are aware of this campaign?
Thank you for that. So we are working really hard. We have a toolkit on our website to utilize for social media. So we were envisioning that businesses could post it, letting people know that they are participating in this program, as well as city agencies. So I know human services agencies will be posting this today, as well as we will. And then personally, we can also post. So I will be posting on my personal platforms to let my friends and family know about this program, and to recognize what and to know what they can do, to either thank businesses for participating participating, or ask their favorite local coffee shop or bookstore to participate as well. So that's something that we are doing. We also are partnering with many partners throughout the city, like those here. So OEWD, I think we're going to plan an outreach program through their network to get some businesses involved again. And we also have partnerships with this Sfpd, a small business community advisory board, where a lot of the merchants associations are members of. So that's one outlet that we're going to do, as well as the Aging and Disability Resource Centers, ADRCs. We are partnering with them to be to disseminate our printed materials there for people to sign up and pick up materials at those locations. So we will be posting those addresses as soon as we get the printed materials distributed. Does anybody else? And then, of course, canvassing and partnering with community groups like the Sunset Safety Squad and other supervisors in the city. We're hoping to really get the face-to-face time with these businesses and merchants, to build that engagement and to really have those touch points and let them know and answer any of their questions too. I think that's really important. Francis, did you have anything to add?
Just hopefully that helped. As the lead of the business engagement in OEWD, we do reach out to all the storefronts door by door every 6 months. So that we have established a database and also a network. So we know who are the owners or the managers for that we can work with. And we also collect some of the information if they are okay with that, including like cell phone and emails. So when we try to blast out a marketing campaign, so that would be way more effective. And also, you may know different languages, like for example, those from even Chinese, right? They may have a different WhatsApp group versus a WeChat group. So this is going to be a very new way. And also, when they know this is the group or the source that they can believe, they will follow through with that instructions. So we are not only doing it via our network, but also via our trust friends. So this is our what we think the marketing strategy will be relied on, not only by language, but also by the people that you know, and definitely with the help of our CBOs and city departments. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's so important. And I think that was what made us so successful when we did the canvassing, was partnering with Supervisor Mar's office and his volunteers. They already had that relationship. They knew their names. And so when we already went in, we had a foot in the door, and it was a little bit more successful. Does anybody else have anything to add before we move on to the next question? Okay, great. Shauna, next question.
Sure. Next question. Well, it starts with a statement. What an amazing initiative. Do you foresee implementation of this pilot in other counties or perhaps even nationwide?
Oh, whoa, we are just rolling out. So we haven't gotten to, I was just getting to this stage of the launch. But we hope that it will be. This actually was a model that I took from New York City when I went to school there. They have smaller enclaves of campuses that do this and involve merchants in Manhattan and Brooklyn and the other boroughs, which I found really useful and very comforting. So I thought maybe this would be helpful in San Francisco. But definitely we created a lot of the materials and the model with that in mind, that it could be replicated in other counties and neighborhoods, and hopefully go broader with the overall message of really, targeting harassment and hate, and as a community and coming together. Does anybody else have anything to add? We're hoping, since it started in the Sunset, though, we're going to start small and go from neighborhood to neighborhood, and hopefully go by that and build some momentum. I think that's good. Okay, and then the next question, Shauna?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Will data be collected to see the impact this initiative has on the community? What metrics will you be tracking?
Ooh, data is always really hard. So we do have a database in that we are going to keep track of the members in the networks, and then as well as have their contact information. So as more information comes in about other trends, right now this started because of increase of attacks on AAPI elders. But the problem with hate is that it happens and it can be anybody can be a target, right? So we wanted to build this network that will be sustainable and that we can deploy information as we get it. So hopefully if our partners have additional resources or trainings, we will be able to disseminate that through our network database. And we hope to update it consistently throughout the year, because we know businesses change, ownership changes, and we want to make sure. So I think that's why our partnership with OEWD is so important, because they do this year round, and this is out of our work landscape. And so we really want to, that's why it's so important to have these partners. Are there any other questions or answers? Sorry. All right, great. Thank you. Okay, next question. Maybe one more question.
We have another comment. We need to keep the momentum and keep awareness going. You alluded to this a bit with the city partnership comments, but this specific question is, will we see the Solidarity SF sticker signage in city buildings?
I hope so. We definitely will try. I know we will be working with, we want to get partnerships with city agencies and community establishments. So like libraries, senior centers, and so we obviously have to be aware of security and making sure everyone is safe involved, even the helpers and the bystanders. So that's something to keep in mind and to consider as we ask people to become partners. But we're hoping to really involve these other places and establishments to really pick this program up. Does anybody else have anything to add before we move on? But keep an eye out for the sticker on the social media platforms. One of the things we do is to ask you to let your friends and family know what this new symbol means. I hope it evokes some emotion in you. I really love it. It makes me feel very optimistic, makes me feel like the community is coming together and being empathetic and really in solidarity and caring for one another. And I hope you also ask your favorite establishments if they will join as well. So talking to your barista or the baker at the bakery around the corner from you. I think that's really important. Again, we said face-to-face contact and engagement is really important. So making that personal ask will really help. So thank you guys. Is there anything else, Shauna?
Those are all the questions.
Great, thank you. Thank you for your engagement, everybody. And I do want to again bring you to our website at ioaging.org/solidaritySF. I hope you will sign up or ask your local businesses to sign up as well. And then also post on your social media. But thank you all for being here and in support of WEAD and Solidarity SF. And we look forward to working in solidarity with you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.